So, spoilers, big old juicy spoilers. Gents, the Mandalorian.
Can I just say, let's not jump the gun too much. Let's do it one step at a time. Pace yourselves. Keep it calm.
Nathan, who nearly dropped a massive spoiler during the Star Wars Holiday Special review. Yeah. I was like, no, dude.
Shit.
Hey, that's the dude who's in it. Whoa.
Mandalorian episode, the last one started. Pew, pew. Pew. Exactly how it started. Pew, pew, pew.
Amazing.
There you go.
I feel like I'm there.
Who needs thousands of pounds worth of CGI?
I mean, right, I've got a still from the start. Here we go, look. I mean, your Lego demonstration is miles better than that.
Exactly.
Right, Favreau and Filoni could learn a few things from you.
I mean, this is one of my favourite Star Wars ships ever. Sometimes known as Shuttle Tyridium from Return of the Jedi, but it's actually a landing craft from the Imperial side. In Return of the Jedi, the steel one, so they can sneak down.
Called, is it a Lambard shuttle? I think it's called.
Yeah, it's a landing class shuttle. And so, this one has always been one of my favourites, and it was so cool to see it pop up in The Mandalorian this week, man. I was like, it's a good one.
I mean, as if they had to give us any more stuff. You know what I mean? They're just spoiling the fuck out of us now.
This episode was pure fan service. It was just, I mean, let's get into it. So, who's going to start us off with the review? Where do we start off?
Let's just piece it together as we go. So,
Nathan, what happened at the start of The Mandalorian?
The Mandalorian this week. Boba Fett and the other guys are in Slave One, chasing down some Imperials, one of the landing crafts. Oh, look, there's a picture. To basically steal the landing craft. The point being, they want to infiltrate the ship where they know Grogu is being held by Moff Gideon, which is it's not a Star Destroyer, is it? I can't remember what they call it, but it's like a bit like a Star Destroyer. It's a cruiser.
Yeah.
You know, Imperial cruiser. Conveniently, all of the Dark Troopers are all on there together at the same time. You know, lots of exposition in this one. For example, learning that. Did you guys catch the line where they're on about the Darksaber and Bo-Katan says, "Oh, I really need to get that back. It's in a beautiful, amazing sword, and you know it's mine, and it should be mine, and it cuts through anything apart from Beskar."
Yeah, but we knew that anyway.
It was a bit heavy on the exposition, this one, but
it would be a bit rubbish to have a Mandalorian weapon that cuts through. Like if you drop it on your toe or something, it just slices your foot off when you've got this amazing armor. You say no, it would be a bit of a design fault to maybe have it, fuck up your own indestructible armor.
Right.
Yeah. So
they go after. So they capture the shuttle. Yeah. They've got the scientist on there, the clone scientist that we met a few times now. I don't know his name. Did you get his name? I don't know.
I can't remember his name, but they're working really hard in this series to throw up the conundrum that maybe the rebellion weren't all good and that there were lots of problems with it. They are working really, really, really hard to sort of cloud, the audience's judgment of whether they were probably good guys.
I mean, that's what's going on now with with the Conservatives trying to work you really hard to make you feel like we're not bastards.
I did wonder whether that is a nod to modern politics, where they've kind of. I know Chris doesn't like to be political, but it is something about the show whether you felt it was as well, Nate.
It's not just
I don't mind
modern
being political. It's quite interesting.
So they're trying to steal the ship. I know the officer puts up a bit of a fight. He shoots his own man, and he takes the scientist hostage to be able to try and sort of get the upper hand in this situation. And then he starts really provoking. What's her name?
Cara Dune.
He starts really provoking her, talking about the tear.
Lonely. What a prick.
He was an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, in that kind of a situation, you won't provoke somebody, really, would you? You won't start.
I did wonder what his end game was in that situation. A lot of people there, he's completely outgunned. Okay, he's got his hostage there, but really, how is he going to get out of this? What is he gaining by poking the bear? You know,
you've got to suspend a lot of belief in a Star Wars scenarios. We've talked often before about things like this because in that scenario, if you look at where they were, right, those two guys were in front of the cockpit of the ship. Everybody's got blasters pointing at each other. One wrong shot going through the fucking hull of the ship or through the glass, suck everybody out. And you know what I mean? So they don't really address stuff like that. They're just like, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we spent a lot of time in that cockpit there. What happens at the end is like
she shoots him. She shoots the
he
guy.
Shoots him. That's
He breaks him, and then everyone's just like, yeah.
Ship. They steal the landing craft, and then
so we got that's where that was before the credits, wasn't it? Then you got
the so it's chapter 16.
The called The Rescue, and then so basically they engineer a plan. Mando goes down to this planet that Lummy's showing you right now to find the 3 Mandalorians who've turned into 2 inexplicably. They just got rid of the bloke without mentioning.
I wondered that.
And I think it's honestly, I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound weird at all, but I think it really is to push the fact that there were a lot of females on the crew, and it's all about, you know, girl power and you know, women save the day, because they just inexplicably got rid of that French guy who was in the.
Well, weirdly, I didn't really think...
He got deported back to France. I was trying to think of a Star Wars sounding planet that could be France.
So I didn't think I didn't think much about that until later on when they're actually on the mission, and I actually don't think they shoved it in our faces too much. I think it worked really well, but I think huge credit should go to Sasha Banks, WWE wrestler, who played the sort of plucky.
I have got images of these things, but I thought we were going in order. So do you want me to hang on?
Kind of in order, isn't it?
Wait a minute, then. Let me pull some.
So yeah, Mando and Boba Fett walk into this bar like 2 fucking cowboys, and then you know they. There's a bit of there's some classic space bants in this one, man. They just made up all sorts of space shit, just like slagging each other off in space language. I wrote some of it down. So at one point, they're having an argument, and because Boba Fett's in the Mandalorian armor, but they're like, "You're no Mandalorian." Boba Fett goes, "I never said I was a Mandalorian." You know, pretty much like he's saying, "Who wants to be a Mandalorian?" So
with Chris Tarrant.
Like Chris Tarrant, who wants to be a Mandalorian.
So yeah, they're trading like really crap insults. Like she says, "You'll be looking through the window of a Bacta tank," and you're like, "Oh,
Jesus!"
Fighting talk. So yeah, there is, and they have a fight.
And this is like I said, this is a. It's played by Sasha Banks, the WWE wrestler, who I think is cousins with Snoop Dogg, actually. And
just know that for a fact.
No, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, I thought she was brilliant in this. And they had a cool little
bar fight. Little tiny little bar fight.
That's exactly it. A bar fight with sort of Mando weapons. It was great.
It was like a hotel bar fight, a mini bar.
Oh fucking hell!
Oh God! Says,
we got a Star Wars geek. He's just arrived.
Barry. Nice to see you.
Hello, Barry. We see him have a little scuffle. Bo-Katan says, "Stop dicking around," and then they all get on the ship to go rescue. But they've got a plan. They take the 2 ships, the landing craft and the slave one, and they've got a plan to go to the Star Cruiser. Boba Fett's on slave 1.
Hang on, let's have a look.
He's pretending to shoot at the landing craft as they approach the Star Cruiser.
Actually, can I interrupt a sec? Nathan.
Hang on,
you've gone really way too far. So basically, the scientist that they've kidnapped, there he is there. He inexplicably decides to give them loads of really useful information about...
A bit more exposition.
Yeah, exactly. About the Dark Troopers, about where they're kept on the ship, how long it takes for them to be activated.
There you go. This is it.
how long it takes them to charge up, and all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, you kind of get the impression actually he's quite fond of Grogu. I think I don't know. I just kind of got the feeling that he wasn't as evil as. I don't think it was just because he was caught either.
He's a man of science, isn't he? He just wants probably to know what. Look at all the experimentation that these doctors used to do. They might not have all been.
What's he called? Galen Erso from Rogue Squadron, a reluctant Imperial. You know what I mean? He seems a bit like, oh yeah.
Actually, that's Rogue One, Nathan. Rogue One.
What did I say?
Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron.
Oh, sorry. It's just
Slave 2 incident, isn't it?
We don't want another one of them messes. Did you look at your Lego box, by the way? Why don't you turn around behind you, get your Lego box out, and see what the Boba Fett ship's called?
Guys, if you are still watching this, God help you. But
people are watching it. People want to know.
This last week for these two dickheads.
I don't think they need to. Because... No. Whoa. Just go and watch last week's episode. It's there on our YouTube channel. No. Right. So they get all this help from the scientist, and he's given lots of information about how they can enact their plan. And then, absolutely, this kick-ass plans. And I didn't really get what was happening at the start. I was quite slow picking up actually how their plan was going to work. And it was Boba Fett in Slave One chasing down this Imperial ship.
I've got an image here. Now have a look at this here.
That's beautiful. How amazing is that?
Right. I'm not sure if any other Star Wars film has had two things going through hyperspace at the same time.
I don't think they have either.
Because when it came up, and it showed him, and then
if you did that, you'd smash each other to pieces or something. Yeah. Again, let's not get bogged down in the science of things. And they do it, don't they? Because in Rise of Skywalker, he's hopping through time holes, and they're following him through it because they've got the technology.
You don't get a shot like this.
It's not like that.
That's beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, but it's cool. Yeah,
I'd have that on my wall. You know what I mean?
I know you would.
So basically, the Mandalorians in the Imperial ship that they've captured are radioing through to the Imperial cruiser, saying that they're under attack, and can they open one of the doors?
Let us in.
So open one of the bay doors, allow us to get in. And Moff Gideon, he smells a rat, and instead he sends out a load of TIE fighters instead, which they don't.
I thought he sent the TIE fighters out to help the landing craft. I don't think he necessarily, maybe he did, but I don't think he necessarily started smelling the rat until a little later.
I don't know.
A really nice touch was where it does come in, and it's still coming. It's clearly not going to turn away and deviate from its track. It does come into the ship, and they're pulling TIE fighters out, and that guy goes,
yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
I loved seeing
practicalities of it. Yeah,
I loved seeing all that. The good thing about this entire show is they're showing you behind the scenes, if you like, of the main action. I love all that. So all the business of showing out the TIE fighters, the pilots getting in and going out and launching. You know, you've never seen a TIE fighter launch unless it's in a video game.
It reminds me of that. It reminds me of that scene in Clerks where they're talking about the Death Star, and the guy's going, but all of the builders and all of the workmen that were working on that ship, they're just innocent victims in this. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you? There's loads of people going about their jobs, not realizing that they're doing this work for this evil empire, and suddenly they all died on. I like that.
Yeah, but the point of that story is where the guy says, "Are you talking about Star Wars?" And he goes, "Yeah." And the guy in the shop goes, "Well, let me tell you something. I've got a mate. He's a roofer. This guy took a job for the mafia, and he got killed while he was on the job. He knew what the fuck he risks were. So he's got a point there." But just going back a little bit, what the other thing that causes the guy who was driving the landing cruiser, the two pilots that got shot in the beginning, one of the reasons it winds him up, because when he's talking about Alderaan, he says, "I was on the Death Star. I saw it blow up." And he turns around and goes, "Which one?"
Yeah, that was a brilliant line. Yeah, you're right. That was a really good.
How you want, dickhead? The one that blew up or the one that blew up? I thought it was a great line.
But I disagree with you. I think it clearly shows Moff Gideon making the decision, like weighing up and smelling a rat, and then go right no
very quickly
because that's the point. That's the point that because they're in the ship, then go no, open the doors, and they go no, fly around for a bit, fly around a bit more.
Rich. They're not shooting at the landing cruiser, are they? They're shooting at Boba Fett. They shoot at Boba Fett. They don't shoot a single shot. They don't even start shooting behind Slave One.
Of course, because it's a ballsy move to shoot at your own ship when you only smell a rat. But the point being is that, of course they're going to shoot at Slave One and not shoot at their own ship because they don't know for sure. But
so Boba Fett
just open the landing things and the whole thing be over. Let the cruiser shoot Slave One out the sky, out the galaxy, and let this ship in through the bay door. That would have been the logical thing, which is what they were banking on.
They end up landing on the ship. They make a bit of a sketchy landing, but they land in. Boba Fett goes, right, job done.
That's a great landing as well. It looks brilliant. That ship flying.
This is off into hyperspace, and we don't see him for the rest of the episode. We'll tell you why later on. We've got a little theory behind that.
I've got a shot here of one of the Dark Troopers close up there.
So they hatched this plan. They hatched this plan that the 4 women are going to go and work as a distraction because they're aware that the Dark Troopers are going to be called upon to come and fight them off. So the 4 women go and they get all the attention. They got all guns blazing. It's absolutely brilliant. So that Mando can sneak off and go and find Grogu himself, unwatched, as it were, and that's another great little fight. I mean, this is the point where I'm like, these women are absolutely kick-ass, and I don't feel like they're ramming it down the throat. This is all absolutely. I'm not saying you were. I'm not saying you were, but I think there will be people out there that will kind of assume that because you've got these 4 that it's unbelievable, and I just thought it worked brilliantly.
Possibly, but we're talking about Star Wars. The ability for people to piss and moan about what they wanted in it. We've all done it. We've all watched Star Wars and gone, well, why did they do what I wanted? Me.
I get that.
Some of us have done it to the point where we've fallen out with the franchise big time. You know what I'm talking about, Lummy.
Oh, yeah. We talked about it last week with Last Jedi, didn't we? All that.
Yeah, it's nice to be in an age where there are too many positives happening in the world of Star Wars for most people to deny, and it's drawn us back in. It's good.
Yeah. So there's a great little fight on this walkway where the 2 Mandalorians sort of fly off either side. Stormtroopers are falling off this walkway, falling through out into the galaxy, out into space, and then the 2 other women get sort of cornered by Stormtroopers, and it's great when the 2 Mandalorian fighters just come up and just shoot the shit out of them. It's awesome, really, really good. So they're hunting around the ship. One of them gets a gun jammed as well, and they're kind of working on trying to. That was the one bit that did pull me out a little bit. That she's trying to unjam her gun while they're in this really tight enclosed lift. Did you not see that? It's like that. If that gun goes off, you're all dead.
We said about gun jams last week, though, didn't we? And we realised about the power packs, and
Yeah, she ended up.
I asked if they run out of bullets and what to do with the gun jamming and such. And you guys pointed out that for the first time in the previous episode, that there was mention of them running out of a power pack or something.
Yeah.
But
so Mandalorian goes off to try and find Grogu.
Yeah. He encounters the your droids. He tries to get the door shut just in time, but one gets through.
What's happening is he's having this kick-ass fight with the Dark Trooper, and it's a brilliant fight. And I think they really managed to show the stakes of how this guy that we've seen pretty much be able to kick the crap out of anything in both series suddenly encounters this robot, this droid. We find out that the third generation as well, don't we? That they've gotten rid of any human kind of entity within them, and I really think it sets up how tough these Dark Troopers are, and it's a kick-ass fight that he has with them. It's awesome, and all the time he's trying to. He ends up. I don't know if you got a slide of this. He ends up going and managed to flip the hatch just before all of the Dark Troopers come through, the whole squadron.
I've not got the only still I've got of that fight is that bit.
Okay.
Just because I've spent all my stills at the end of the thing. Obviously, I went a bit still crazy. I was like,
or on the holiday special.
Yeah.
So they.
All these years.
You what?
Yeah,
Web?
it's still crazy after all these years.
Yeah. I had to delete all my holiday special pictures earlier in the background while you were doing all that. Too many.
So Mando managed to pull a lever that opens up the bay doors, and all of the Dark Troopers, they get sort of sucked out into space. And then he goes and finds Grogu, who's got Moff Gideon stood above him with, now that saber is awesome. And he stood there threatening to kill Grogu. And then he pulls a fast one with Mando, doesn't he? He says, look, I got everything I wanted from him. All I wanted was his blood. So you take him and you leave me the hell alone. And we never talk about this again. So Mando kind of goes over and he's sort of
inexplicable reason. He could have just left it there, but he's so evil that he couldn't help himself. It was so weird. Like, do you know what I mean? He didn't. I don't know. It's just like
maybe he hadn't finished with Grogu. Maybe he'd not finished with him, and he just said that so he could have a swipe at him.
Oh, I think that's entirely the point. That he wanted to wait till Mando's back was turned, and then he could try and strike him.
Because he might have had some blood in all that time he's had him. He could have had as much blood as he wanted out of him. He could have had him up to machine.
And then another absolutely kick-ass fight between Mando and Moff Gideon, and it's brilliant. I was surprised at how strong Moff Gideon was, but he talks about the weapon giving people powers, and that it's actually a Mandalorian weapon, and it gives the holder special powers. So there is an amazing fight between Moff Gideon and Mando, and he does this amazing kind of kickback thing to flick his staff. That was brilliant. It was absolutely awesome. I choreograph fights for a living, and that was a really beautiful piece of choreography. I really appreciated it. It was
not
great.
for TV and theatre, just as it on the street. He's like, right, you stand there.
Bar fights.
With this brush, and he kicks you in the balls.
But it was brilliant. So then we see we go back to the bridge where the other four have kind of taken down all the enemies, and Mando turns up with a little Grogu in his arms and Moff Gideon.
Right. Just on a note of you just saying about the killing everybody. If you like seeing stormtroopers get shot and get napped, you're gonna love this episode. I honestly don't remember seeing this many.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
In a Star Wars thing ever.
But the action in this episode is great.
Yeah, it was like awesome.
Yeah,
they pulled all the stops.
Yeah, absolutely. Now there's a really interesting point of suspense when Mando walks into the room carrying what's it called? It's not called a dark saber, is it?
Dark saber, yeah.
It's called dark saber. When he's carrying that, so what's that moment of tension that we see?
The moment of tension is Bo-Katan going, hang on a minute, he's got my sword and I can only get my sword back by fighting him.
Which we didn't know because she kept saying, I want to take Moff Gideon. I want to take Moff Gideon. He's mine. He's mine. It's like, okay, fair enough. You've got some sort of grudge with him.
And then she's
find out why. To be on the bridge. She's expecting him to be on the bridge, and that's where she's going to take him out. She doesn't expect him to pull a sort of the switcheroo and end up being down with Grogu. And then you see Mando coming in with
she didn't expect him to go and guard the precious cargo on the
that they were there trying to get. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a flaw in her logic.
She shouldn't really be a leader, really, should she? I've got an idea. We'll go fight them, but we'll sneak round back.
And that's kind of where we find this out, because we see we see Moff Gideon start laughing. And he basically tells Mando that that the only way you can take that weapon is by beating the person in a fight. And he's like, yeah, just take it. Don't worry. Just have it.
I thought that was really good, that bit.
It's great. I loved it. And it shows that he's a man of his word and that he isn't that bothered about.
And also, he says the lines, like the power's in the story, not in the blade.
Yeah,
exactly. Very, very Star Warsy, isn't it? Just clarify. I don't think we see him give her it though. We didn't see him give her the saber.
No, he offers it to her. He offers
it, but she doesn't take it. So as far as we know, when the episode ends, he's still got it. We think.
Yeah, no, but he has. That's the whole point. He's offering it to her, and she's like, I can't take it. I can't take it. And Moff Gideon starts laughing, and then the Dark Troopers. we hear on the computer that there's something on the radar, and all the Dark Troopers come flying straight back into the ship, and there are tons of them, and they're pounding on this big, thick door to the bridge. And Moff Gideon's sort of like, "Yeah, this is funny. Not a chance. You guys are going to survive this. You struggled against one,
and they wouldn't have done.
A whole platoon.
They wouldn't have done.
Oh man, they were absolute kick-ass. They
wouldn't have survived it. I don't think. Had what happens next not happened, they would have been.
That's the thing. So they're beating away at this door, and they're all stood there with the guns pointed, and then suddenly we hear the radar.
You see Moff Gideon sneakily hide a blaster under his cape.
I missed that. I missed that. Okay.
Yeah. There's a blaster on the floor, and he hides it under his cape, and then he uses it later, doesn't he?
Yeah. But I didn't see where he got it from. And then you hear the radar go again, and you see an X-wing turn up. Now,
there you go.
Now, gents, before we say who was in, did you know who was in it at this point?
Of course I did.
Did you? I wasn't sure. I thought that they were going to just pull a fast one on us. I thought they were going to be like, "Yeah, come on, guys! So much fan service.
It was a sneaky reveal in a way. They tried to be sneaky, but you knew who it is. First clue is as it's flying in. If you're really keen-eyed, you can see R2 on the top of the ship. That's R2. There's no mistaking it. So, and then as the Jedi gets off the X-wing, he walks through the ship.
I've got images. There you go.
Decimating the Dark Troopers.
You see
what we've got to remember as well, just going back, is we learned in this episode that the thing that was a fault in the Stormtrooper design was the people inside the suit. Moff Gideon is the one guy who decided to take that element out and use droids. So he made them all droids. Now, that's a mistake because anybody that knows anything knows that Jedi's cut through droids like they're made out of butter. Like
battle droids.
Fucks them up.
Battle droids.
He just went through them all. And it was beautifully done. And as he's doing it, first thing is you see
I've got stills. So here you go. This is the first shot we saw.
Oh my god. That's what I'm thinking right there. Then it keeps going, and you see a black blood. And like, oh my god, black blood. It's got to be. But maybe not. Maybe it's not.
No, it is.
Did anyone else think it was very similar to the Darth Vader scene walking through in the latest? Yeah.
But I think that was a little tip of the hat to that, to be honest.
Yeah. No.
He goes through chopping everybody a bit.
Oh, God, it was beautiful.
You see the good thing is that one as well from the inside. That's amazing.
Yeah, beautifully done.
Yeah. All this. You've seen all the force powers. I mean,
so it crushes the last one, and then he's right through the blast doors. Smoke clears. And who do we see?
Now, one thing I was quite pleased about was because they had battered the hell out of those doors, and I was like, "There's no way those doors are sliding open because they're all bent out of shape." But they actually, fair play, they only opened, and I really appreciated that. Yeah. And then we see him. There he is. It's Luke Skywalker, and it's original Luke Skywalker. I mean, I know there's been a lot of kickback from a lot of the fans, because Star Wars.
Why wouldn't there be? Star Wars.
Yeah, but what did you guys think of this incarnation of Luke Skywalker and the special effects? Because it did not bother me in the slightest.
Right. I'll tell you what I thought. I didn't give a fuck because even if it had been animation or clay or whatever they did it in, it's still amazing.
Yeah.
Just some bloke holding a picture up of Luke's face.
Don't matter. We've been waiting for this version of Luke Skywalker for how long? For people who grew up watching the films, I remember going to see Return of the Jedi with my brother and my mate. We went, and that was the third film, and we saw all three in one go at the cinema. And you've been waiting for this to see Luke in action for all this time. And we were robbed from the new films because they didn't show us it. All it had took was one film to do that.
Yeah, but they've had to make you believe that a fat old man can be Luke Skywalker. They'd have had to play Luke Skywalker completely different instead of relying on sword play against Kylo Ren.
Yeah, but all right.
Well, didn't they? They showed him using his mind and what he'd learned.
Right.
What I mean?
Let me tell you this then. What about Obi-Wan in episode 4 then? Why not do it like that? And then at least we're getting something. But I'm on about if this hadn't to come out now. You know what I mean?
Chris, he died.
No, but I mean, you know, he was a Jedi and had a bit of a battle. At least we saw Obi-Wan as he were.
And get beaten. But
have you seen those guys that
but don't get beaten. I mean, the fucking concept of it.
Guys, have you seen that video of that original Darth Vader and Luke and Obi-Wan battle that's been re-edited?
Yeah.
It's amazing what they did.
Amazing.
With the principles of modern.
What I mean is, they could have done something, you know, instead of having him on an island going, "I'm not a Jedi anymore," and throwing lightsaber behind his back. That's all I'm saying. So this is for it's obviously for the fans, but I was so pleased as everybody else was. You watched it on Friday or wherever you watched it and went, "Oh my God, they've done it."
And R2 as well.
I was just about to say that was the icing on the cake because you think we've got Luke, he's doing his Jedi stuff. Everybody wanted to see it.
That was awesome, but also then you've got to watch Mandalorian and Grogu say goodbye to each other.
Yeah,
who knew that were going to be so beautifully done?
Perfect.
I was praying actually that the show would never get to this point because I love their relationship so much, and it was really beautiful.
I've got stills. Right, look, I've got stills of this. Look.
So Mando takes his helmet off to say goodbye to
he takes
Grogu.
his helmet off because Grogu requests it. He touches his helmet and he's saying, "It's time to see your face, man, and look you in the eye." And that was just beautiful.
And he touches his face, and Mando almost winces when he feels another living creature touch his face, but he kind of succumbs to it, and it's just beautiful. Do
you know the only thing I thought with the helmet reveal? I wish they hadn't done it in the last episode.
Yeah. That was a bit of a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I think it'd have been more important.
Yeah, I agree.
It was still great. It was still lovely what they did with it. But I think it would have been a bit more impactful if, you know, because it's like I'll take it off for Holt, really.
Yeah.
On a chocolate bar.
The only thing I thought was missing, and this is just something it's not even a niggle, really. It's just they could have shown this. They could have shown what a lightsaber is like against the dark saber at some point. Because why am I bothered?
We'll do it eventually.
What am I bothered about a dark saber? I've heard that dark sabers can cut through anything, but does that include? Is it a superior weapon to the lightsaber? I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't think that matters for where
you're going to find out, though. I mean, this bit here where he walks up to R2.
Yeah. So right before that, Grogu was holding on to the Mando's leg, and he was like, "I don't want to go." And and Mando's like, "No, you need to go because you need to get trained." And Luke was like, "Look, untrained, he's got amazing powers, but untrained is dangerous, and we need to kind of train him up." So then Grogu turns around, and R2-D2 kind of have this little chat, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, you're my kind." Yeah.
No, this is interesting because R2 has been around a bit. He was in the Phantom Menace. He was in the Clone Wars era. So did he recognize Grogu from the Jedi Temple? Did he know him? Has he seen him before? Is that why they just had a bit of banter? I
don't think because Yoda was mostly. Hang on, let's think about this because that's a really good question, Nathan. I don't know where R2 was when all the stuff were going on. He wasn't in the Jedi Council chambers, were it all? So, but they'll be milling about, won't they? Where he's about. You know,
it's interesting,
that is interesting.
So it raises a couple of things. By the end of the show, you're left thinking, well, where can they take the Mandalorian? Has been the biggest question for the next couple of seasons, which we know they're greenlit, we know they're happening. So that has to you have to figure that out. You have to go back and listen to what happened a few episodes ago. Round about episode 3, when he first meets the other Mandalorians, she says to him, "Look, I'll help you on your quest to get this kid, but then you got a promise to help me." And with him being a Mandalorian, he can't just go back on his promise. And his promise to help her go sort the mess out of Mandalore, and do his best to get her into power. So it
felt like it really did feel like the end. This one, though, you're like, wow.
Yeah. What we do know is that from this point onwards, it just gets progressively worse. The rebellion or the alliance falls apart. The rebellion get weaker, and the new order starts to, So we're in for like 10 years of 10 Star Wars years of things getting really, really.
If they are leading into that, they could have explained it all away by saying all these Jedis were trained at Luke's temple, and that's what happened in episode before episode 7.
We know that cloning technology has massively declined in the 60 years between episode 1, where they cloned everybody, and then trying to make Snoke out of somebody's blood.
That was always my issue with the prequels, though, that the technology was far superior than it was in
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a discussion for another day, because to discover that R2-D2, your favorite robot who you've seen in hundreds of films, has got jet boosters that he's got them in like Attack of the Clones to come out of his legs and make him fly. Yeah. He can fly, but he can't fly in the modern, in our trilogy. Look at
that lightsaber! It's a lightsaber at both ends. That's really dangerous. Like, you could stabby backwards and forwards, and then
you really have to be a badass to use Darth Maul's lightsaber, don't you? I mean, yeah.
I mean. Let's. I've got another couple of stills from this episode here. That one that's where Grogu goes to lift with, and then I was amazed they just ended it with this.
Yeah.
Door shut, bam, done.
Yeah. I mean, it was perfect though. It was perfect. So I watched this episode after the two of you, and I knew something big was going to happen, because both you kept bugging me all day, texting me going, "Have you seen it yet?" And so I was like, "Okay, well, something fairly major is going to happen in this episode." And then Nathan was like, "Just make sure you stay on after the credits."
That's because of Lummy. Lummy told me about it.
He didn't know about it.
Yeah, he was watching it with his missus, and
she told me though. I'd switched. I was ready with something else, and it was still on the TV. And she said, "Look," and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh my god, I'd missed it."
And it's incredible.
She said, "Look, Lummy, don't put that DVD of Santa Claus the movie in just yet."
I was like, "No, it's on. We've done Star Wars now."
Give me cuddly duddly any day. But yeah, so we then see. Yeah, we see. What do we see?
We see this.
Okay. Credits roll. Boom.
Jabba's we see that.
Palace. As if you hadn't finished jizzing in your pants yet.
I mean, you go from this.
Yeah.
You go from that.
Yeah.
To this.
Yeah. And then straight away, you're like, first the question is, how much time we got, man? What's going to happen now?
Yeah. And then it's quite a long post-credit scene as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit more awesome.
Yeah.
So
you see, you go in, and here we go, Bib Fortuna.
I love the fact that Bib Fortuna's become a Hutt, and he's put loads of weight on.
I know, that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Some people did say, did he survive the Sarlacc pit? But I don't think he were on the sail barge, if I remember correctly. But
I think he is. I think I remember him talking to Jabba on it. I
don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong.
He was never dealt with. It was a bit of a villain, wasn't he? So you'd think that showed him get offed, but I don't think he was.
So we also see that
almost like they always knew.
He is a Hutt. He's become a Hutt because he's speaking Huttese. He's sitting on the throne. He's got the people from the old crew there.
All his slavery.
Instead of Luke Skywalker coming down the stairs to knock them all, we hear a few blaster shots. Boba Fett comes down the stairs with his bird, his missus.
I put that up a bit early, but
yeah. And he comes down the stairs, he shoots everybody, and he goes and sits on Jabba's throne. And I realised something, guys. I realised something. Right. This came to me. Every episode of The Mandalorian is a chapter, right? Mm-hmm. Chapter 1. We're on chapter 16 is what we just finished, yeah? Mm. And then this ends, shows you that little credit sequence, opens up with the book of Boba Fett. I don't think Boba Fett necessarily is going to be in his own spin-off. I think they're going to direct The Mandalorian and use chapters from Boba Fett's story. It's the book of Boba Fett in the Mandalorian story. Do you know what I mean? So
that's interesting. I've been looking at. I think because I was unsure whether that meant that this is the end of the Mandalorian series, and we're going to go now to a Boba Fett series spin-off. But a lot of the commentators that I've been listening to over the last sort of 24 hours have all been adamant that there's going to be a spin-off, a Book of Boba series, and season 3 of The Mandalorian.
I'm not saying they're not. Maybe they are going to be, but I'm just saying they could. If they're viewing everything as chapters, basically what everything we're going to see in this Star Wars extended universe with TV shows is all going to be chapters. of a massive Star Wars book. But I say, let's just get back to the story, right? So why is Boba Fett going to sit in Jabba's? Does he want to be the prince of all the bad guys, Lummy? Does he want to be is he taking over the crime syndicate?
So
Yeah,
this
the
is
crime-
what I was
the crime
wondering whether it makes whether we're now going to see.
Because if it does, now we know that Moff Gideon is still around, but temporarily disabled because he's got no robots anymore and he's been knocked on his ass a few times. Who is the bad guy going to be? Maybe there is going to be some kind of, and I'm still not saying I'm right, but I still feel like Mando could make his way towards Slave One as a vessel at some point. If they do make Boba Fett like the bad guy of the new series, and it turns out that Mando, their deal is over. You know, Boba Fett's a very cutthroat kind of guy, isn't he? You know what I mean? He doesn't care if he's working for the Imperials or working for the Rebels. It's all about the coin. It's all about how much money he's getting. He's a bounty hunter. So he's helped him out, shot off into hyperspace and left him to it. Didn't help him out with any of the other shit. Not bothered about that. Job's done. Deal's over. I'm finished with that. Is he going to be Mando's new enemy?
Well, it's interesting you say that because I thought we'd had it established in the last few episodes that he was a Mandalorian. And then, like we talked about earlier on, where it's like, you're not Mandalorian. He's like, never said I was.
No,
So,
his dad was a Mandalorian.
That's another thing we learned in this. That, again, they reminded us that Boba Fett's a clone. So yeah, I mean, still pretty impressive career for a clone.
Do you know what
all the rest of the clones died, and he was the one who went off on his own adventures.
Do you know what it'd have been interesting if Boba Fett had still be with them when they all did this heist, and then Luke turns up, he'd be like, that was not Selvage, you bastard. You're not me in Pit. Oh no, it was Solo, not in Pit. Where's he? I want a word with him.
Yeah, he's the only one that Luke would have known out of all of them. Because that was the thing. The thing I was like, why don't all of these people know who Luke Skywalker is?
Well, actually,
go on.
Right. So you've got to think about this. The galaxy is a massive place. And some people said about this before with some of the early episodes of The Mandalorian. They said, how come people don't know who this is and who that is? And it's like, they call it the outer rim territory, don't they? In the far regions of all this stuff. I don't know, ins and outs. But word doesn't spread around the galaxy like it could. You know, even with the technology and everything.
They need some of that lucky FaceTime technology from the holiday special, I think.
It does exist because we've seen it in the holiday special.
No, but what I mean is, you know, there's a lot of rumors and that, because even in Force Awakens, you know, if you go that, they don't know that Jedis are real and stuff in that film because they say to Han Solo, you know, I thought it was just a myth, Luke Skywalker and all that, and he goes, no, it's all real.
But that is like 30 years later, whereas this is like
30 years later, though, Lummy Gittins. We haven't forgotten who the Nazis were.
No. Hear me out. Okay. You're proving my point because we're like a year, 2 years max after Luke Skywalker managed to sort of defeat the Empire, who was ruling the entire galaxy. Are you really saying that they don't know who the victor was, their champion was? It just surprised me. That was all.
I mean,
see, yeah, you're right in a way because they acknowledge it a few times in the series to make sure you know that we are in a world where they haven't forgotten who Luke Skywalker is, because they show you the Death Star blowing up, don't they, on that holotape in the middle of that bar in an episode. You're right. There is some sort of ambiguity about who the Jedi is going to be, but I think that's purely a storytelling device to try and make you think. Like I said to Lummy, I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to like blow my own trumpet here, but I said to you weeks ago, if you think about it, it has to be Luke. Luke has to come back. There are no more Jedis. Ahsoka was a Jedi, but she quit the practice and left, right? And there's only Luke. He was the only Jedi. And Leia, which we found out in The Rise of the Skywalker, she was going to be a Jedi. Yeah, but she never finished the training. So you know it's got to be Luke. So they throw you off the scent quite a few times by like, oh, who could it be? And she says, there are other Jedi out there, but it's left as a plural. It sounds like it's a plural. Even the episode itself was called The Jedi. Well, no, it was called Jedi, wasn't it? It wasn't called The Jedi.
Yeah, well,
to try and throw you off.
It was called the
Jedi. It was the Jedi.
Trying to throw you off the scent. It has to be. You know, they were really clever. They nearly, you know, they could have flipped anyone out of the Star Wars lore, but it had to.
Don't forget as well, these guys in charge, you know, Favreau and Filoni, they'll know what they're doing. They've thought about all this stuff. They've planned it, unlike the films that came out where they didn't plan them. You know, apparently, I don't know if I told you guys this, but apparently there's something leaked online. There's a episode 8 treatment by J.J. Abrams, what he was going to do with the film. And they
heard about that, yeah.
Right, I've read
about the Rise of the Skywalker, Rich, a couple of months ago, or maybe a year or so ago. They released the proper script, the actual.
Oh no, that was it. Yeah. Sorry.
No. I'm on about Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Yeah. No, Nathan's correcting me, not you.
Oh, right. Sorry. Right. But apparently, the reason why Luke was on the island in Episode 8 was because it was like a conduit for the Force, basically. It was so powerful in the Force, you could control things from the island, right? And he was controlling Rey all the way through Episode 7. That's why she was so good at the Force. And then the dark side had a place as well that they were battling, and he was controlling Snoke. So good idea, great idea, really. And Luke had a family on the island and all this stuff. So people are trying to work out if this is real, this thing, because apparently somebody in an office grabbed it off a table and went, you know, I'll photocopy this. You're like, you won't leave that. Yeah, you won't leave that laying around.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a good idea anyway. So that might be worth discussing if we can find that in future episodes.
I'd love to do a reading of it if we can. I know we'll probably get sued, but we should just act it. We should do it.
We are going to do another episode where, because Mandalorian has finished now, we will do a summing up of this season of The Mandalorian, and we will have our predictions for where the series may go in season 3.